Welcome to our EESI podcast. Our subject today, small business. Why you should consider HR outsourcing. Nearly 30 million small businesses in the United States, employing almost half the U.S. workforce. And in fact, recently in the economy, small business, those with fewer than 50 employees, has been most responsible for the increase in jobs. Today, our special guest is Steve Hookstra. Steve is a strategic business consultant with EESI. He's been in the PEO industry, the professional employer organization industry, for 9 years. He knows a lot about small business and ways that small business owners can save time and resources and provide big business type benefits to their employers. Welcome, Steve. Thanks for being on our podcast today.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. Happy to be here this afternoon.
Well, tell us, Steve, let's get right to it. Why should small business owners consider outsourcing their HR?
There's several large benefits to outsourcing their HR. I would have to say that the biggest benefit is obviously that reduction in employment liability. What I mean by that is when clients partner with EESI, their employees are now filed under EESI's federal EIN number. So what that does is that allows us to absorb a lot of the employment liability that client no longer will have. They'll be sharing that liability with us. For example, tax reporting, HR risk management, payroll, benefit. Those are all areas that do not generate any revenue for a company, but yet companies will spend and employ several dozens of individuals to try to accomplish that goal. And unfortunately, if they have to deal with turnover, that can also slow down that growth process for the client. So by partnering with a PEO, it gives them the true ability to focus them and management to focus on the bottom line, what that business is in business to do.
Now, there's also a lot of compliance issues that small business owners face, and those compliance issues increase the more that you add employees. I would imagine that working with a PEO has a cost-saving element for, let's say, training or benefits within an organization. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Again, there's several benefits there. I can give you an example of a recent client that partnered with us that's in the oil and gas industry. This particular company had about 10 employees, and they were acquiring another company that had 42 employees. So when a company jumps from around 10 employees up to 52, a lot of different laws do change. Some examples of those might be FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, that company now has to comply with. ADA, Age Discrimination Employment Act. They also now have to apply with that because of the employee count that they now have since they've grown so much. So there are dozens and dozens of laws that this company now will have to comply with, also report to, that they did not have to do in the past. And basically, when you're growing from 10 to 52 employees in just a couple-week period, I don't feel that a company truly would have the time or the ability to hire and put those types of experts in there to help them grow their business. So this particular client was able to partner with ESI. At the same time, since we are now the employer of record again, we're able to provide large discounts, say, on group major medical and also workman's comp. So we were able to provide those savings over this client. I want to say from the current health plan that they were on as an individual plan, there was about $150,000 a year savings by them coming underneath our large group plan. So that's just one facet of how we were able to also save the company cost.
I'd like to give our listeners an idea just of the significance of moving a company from 10 employees to 50 employees regarding compliance. How many employment responsibilities does a company with 9 to 10 employees have versus a company with 50 plus employees like this company had once they acquired the new company?
You go from a little over a dozen to having to comply with around 200. It's a giant leap. It's huge. And again, it's more than any company realizes they do have to comply with. But partnering with the PEO again, that's our liability. We have to go out there and do that job. We have to keep our clients into a compliance because if not, then we're also going to fall out of compliance. So it's within our best interest to do that on behalf of our clients.
So some of the things that a company, when it grows like that, through acquisition in this case, but just through growth in many other cases, organic growth, FMLA you mentioned earlier, FLSA, the overtime laws and rules, and ADA, the American Disability Act, COBRA, job descriptions, safety manuals, onboarding. There's so many different compliance issues alone that companies must be aware of that even if you hire an HR person full-time, they may not know or be aware of all of these things, is what you're saying. And of course, that's what you specialize in. And I think this would also affect the owners of a company. Those companies are usually led by a visionary owner who has an interest in a field, who has a vision for what he wants to do, in many cases, a passion for what he's doing, and he wants to focus on that. And then you get into this growth of your company and the management of your company and all of the government, the compliance mandates, the federal compliance mandates, the state compliance mandates. Before you know it, you are inundated with HR issues that, like you said, don't contribute anything to your financial well-being. But what a company can do, if that owner wants to get back to focusing on what he got into business for in the first place and wants to sleep well at night knowing he's handled those mandates, is to work with a company that focuses on HR, like a PEO, like EESI. Now, in this case, you said most companies go from 12 or 15 employment responsibilities when they're smaller, meaning 10 employees or so. In this case, they went to almost 200. By teaming with you, how did that change for this particular oil and gas company?
Well, again, this oil and gas company who just had a handful of individuals running the company for several years, now with the very quick growth that they've had, at the same time, they also now have an HR back office team through ESI. They also have a risk management team, payroll and benefit specialists as well. This company did not have any of those positions filled prior to this acquisition that they're currently going through.
So in the beginning, they might have had 12 to 15, and then that number of employment responsibilities, as you say, jumped to nearly 200. But by working with you, how many employment responsibilities do they have today?
Well, today, we usually will find with a common company, about 82 employment responsibilities, and we're able to shrink those employment-related responsibilities down to about 8. So that's a huge number right there. When there's 82 responsibilities that you got to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and when ESI is able to remove majority of those and down to 8, that's a huge facet. Again, that allows that company, that allows the management team to, again, focus back on the company and the task at hand.
What are some of the things that you added to this company that they didn't have before as a result of your partnership with this oil and gas company?
A big part for them was a very rich benefit plan. And the benefit packages that ESI does have in place, because of us being a PEO, is much greater than any one company can go out there and purchase on their own for their employees. So that was a huge part of it. Oil and gas regulations, you've got to pay attention to the payroll, how they're set up. Are these employees exempt? Are they non-exempt? Are they due overtime? Are they not? Those are big laws that can play a big factor to keep the company and both a PEO out of any type of lawsuit when you're dealing with the oil and gas industry. Because a lot of those guys might work 12 hours straight, 15 hours straight, depending on what type of job they're doing.
So with that particular company, what are some of the benefits that were added that they needed?
We were able to provide them with a standard $100,000 life insurance policy, a 401k that they did not have before that's very cost effective for both the client and also the employees of the company, disability insurance, long-term and short-term disability, dental, vision, ADA. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. So again, this company was very adamant about having a rich benefit plan, and when they were able to see the package that ESI was able to offer them without them having to go through any underwriting or truly having to go out there and purchase these plans on their own, saved them not just a lot of time, but also a lot of money.
In this environment, when it is so difficult to hire good talent now because the competition is so rich, it sounds like a small business owner can offer a competitive Fortune 500 benefit package by working with a PEO. But how are you able to do that?
Actually, it's the economy of scales. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, when companies partner with EESI, we become the employer record. And again, what I mean by that is those employees are now captured under our EIN number. So I have buying power. So we have thousands and thousands of employees underneath our PEO platform. So when I'm able to go out there and buy, say, major medical, 401k packages, workman's comp, for example, I have master policies and I get major discounts for those because of the amount of premium that's put into those programs. I'm able to take those savings and pass them back on to our clients. That's why I mentioned it was over a six-figure saving on the major medical from what that client could actually go out there and obtain on their own, filed under their own EIN number. That was a big benefit for them and a big push.
It sounds like the ability to create a Fortune 500 benefit package for a small business alone may be worth considering a PEO. If a company owner, a small business owner, wants to get in touch with you and learn more about what it means to partner with a PEO, to partner with ESI, and how it would be of benefit to them to help them save money and to be able to bring on professionals, How can they reach you? Where would they go?
They can call our office. That number is 210-495-1171, or they can also reach us through our website, and that is www.eesipeo.com.
Well, we appreciate your time, Steve. Very helpful, enlightening. If you're a small business owner, you're looking for assistance, you want to learn more about partnering with a PEO, as Steve mentioned, you can simply call EESI at 210-495-1171 and ask for Steve himself, or you can visit the website www.eesipeo.com. Thank you for listening to today's EESI podcast, Why Outsource Your HR, with special guest Steve Hookstra. You can find all our EESI small business podcasts at our website at www.eesipeo.com.